Well, it is now 6 o'clock. We do have a quorum. Amy is not here. Regina said she was not going to be here, but we do have a quorum, and Margot has a time constraint, so we will just open the meeting. Let's take a roll call attendance. Myself here, Wynn.
Yep.
Margot.
Here.
Okay, Tom.
Yep, here.
And Marilyn.
Here.
Okay. When I'm going to make you a co-host because I don't always see when people come in.
Okay.
I'm just trying to remember how to do that. Do you remember how?
The three little dots in the part of the window.
A co-host. There we go. Okay, well, the first thing I had on the agenda was public comment, and we have no public. So why don't we just dive right into the minutes from the February 22nd meeting? I read them and saw nothing I needed to add or correct. Does anybody else have any corrections, additions?
No. Thank you,
Okay,
Margaret.
yeah, she does a great job. Does somebody want to move?
Thank you.
Move the minutes?
I'll make a motion. We approve the minutes as written.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have 2 seconds. And let's take a roll call vote. Myself, yes. Wynn?
Yes.
Margot?
Yes.
Tom?
Yep.
And Marilyn?
Yes.
Okay, it passes. Okay, let's get right into the warrant articles for the May town meeting. I sent everybody the budget one and the actual applications that we approved. Does anybody want any further explanation on the budget for the 2025 fiscal year?
Marilyn here. I'm just curious how administrative fees are used and who receives them.
Okay, we can use those if we have legal fees, if we have to put a conservation restriction or historic restriction on. We bought our signs with that. It's to advertise our meeting. And we don't spend our dues for the Community Coalition, Preservation Coalition. Otherwise, we haven't had a lot of expenses. What money we don't use gets put into the undesignated at the end of the year.
Oh, I see.
So it's not like we're going to have $50,000 in there. It's just us. It's the law. We were supposed to put 5% in.
Okay.
So that's where that comes from. And then what I do is at the halfway mark in the year, I asked Cheryl what we collected for the first half. So that would be July to December 31st. I double that. And I figure we're going to have that amount. And then take a stab at what the state contribution will be. The coalition keeps a pretty tight, watch on that. And we're estimating 19% this year. We had 33, it was 21. It's going down. There's just not a lot of activity at the Registry of Deeds. So by law, we're supposed to put the article in. So we have, it tells the town accountant which bucket to put the money in. It's part of the law. So it's kind of like a housekeeping thing. So that's what we do.
Thank you.
10%, 65. Okay. So any other questions on that? Anybody have any discussion?
Yes.
No, I rely on you, Linnea, to know the numbers, and I'm sure they're right. So,
well, thanks for the vote of confidence.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of questions, Linnea.
Sure.
So I added up the first 5 numbers, and those add up to the 211. So I don't know where the 160 comes in, other than it's just saying we expect that, but it's not added into any of those numbers, or is it?
I will double check that, but I have a spreadsheet somewhere.
And then the $33
I think
That-
that was supposed to be a 33. I don't know what,
Was
that must
was
have been
that supposed
another
to be
draft.
1,000?
You know what? I think I sent you a draft and not the final one. Good, good. I'm glad you caught that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom.
You wouldn't believe the number of things I've got to really organize my my folders in the CPA folder on my computer. So what does that add up to?
So
So the
the
10,000, the 21, and 137, what does that add up to?
those 5 add up to 211, 356.02,
Okay.
all by themselves. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to have to find my spreadsheet, but if you're okay with the concept, I will double check the numbers and send them to everybody before I send them to the town administrator to put on the warrant. But that's the general idea. I don't know.
Doesn't
where
Cheryl
my-
approve those too?
Yeah, Cheryl will look at it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's always good to have many eyes on any one of these things. I'm just trying to find my
I'm okay with the concept. Voting on
Okay.
the concept.
Yeah, we don't want to belabor that point, and because we have other things to talk about. So what about any other questions, Tom?
I guess the only other comment I have is it doesn't read to me like we're making appropriations. Like these are just reservations, right? We're not spending
We
any of
have
this money.
to-
We're putting it in the accounts, right?
Yes,
We're putting it in the buckets.
exactly. To appropriate or reserve from the Community Preservation Fund, annual revenues amounts recommended by the Community Preservation Committee. So if that's the verbiage. So the money comes in and it never goes into the general budget. It has to go into our dedicated CPA accounts. And that's where we will have them available to spend next year. So it's just a way of putting them where they're supposed to be. Does that make sense?
Sure, I guess.
It's odd to me that I know it has to be there, but it's still odd to me that this needs to be on the warrant because it's a given that money has to go into there.
It's part of the law. So,
Yeah.
and Stuart blesses it, and so it's just one of those things that
I think it's also part of the budget, so, and you're voting on the budget, so this is a piece of the town.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's money, so you put it in the
Yep.
right place.
Yeah, we did this last year. I think Linnea, you got up
Yes.
and just said, "Hey, this is a housekeeping measure. There's nothing. There's really no decision to be made here. If we have adopted CPA, we just need to do this. We're checking."
Exactly. That's exactly it in a nutshell. So, okay, let me get my other. Okay, do the other warrant articles. Now, there's only 3 of them. So the question will be, Kate Hodges, our town administrator, had recommended an omnibus budget last year. And the committee at the time last year wanted everything to be considered individually, which is also recommended by the coalition. And we were so pleasantly surprised that everything after Wynn's put together a great presentation, and I think it made it very clear to everybody how the money was being spent and what it was being spent for. And even though I had to make a special motion with the town moderator to change it to have everything voted individually. So our decision this year is because the committee has changed quite a bit. We had all been in favor of doing it individually. Do we want to do it as an omnibus budget, or do we want to do them individually since there are only 3?
I mean, I'm remembering it. I thought that we had just arranged with the moderator last year to vote separately. I don't think there was a motion on the floor made, was there?
No, I had to write it and give it to him, and it had to be read on the floor. Anytime you change what's written in the warrant, you have to change the wording and give a written copy to the moderator.
I mean, I really liked what we did last year, and what just as a recap, we did a presentation that included a very brief recap of what CPA was, and then a very brief overview of each project. We did that all at once.
Yeah.
There was one warrant article. There was one article that encompassed all the projects, but we were able to vote individually on those projects within the article. And the reason I still kind of like doing it that way is it does save time, because it doesn't require a selectman to read off, go through that procedure of reading off every article individually and going through that motion. Can I just share my screen real quick?
Sure, go right ahead.
I'm just going to show everybody what we actually did last year.
Yeah, I couldn't find that. I was so glad you sent that.
Can you guys see that?
Yep.
So on the left is the article from last year, and you can see it's a very brief overview along with the designations underneath. And we could also include a little blurb about each project, I think, but I just thought this was a really clean way to do it. And then the moderator walked us through a very fast vote on each one.
Yeah, but it didn't say in there that they'd be voted individually.
Okay,
So,
well, we could add that in.
Yeah,
we could add
yeah.
that this year easily. I just think that's the best of both worlds. It saves a little time at town meeting, but it allows us the individual vote. And I'm pretty adamant about keeping the individual vote, because part of the pitch for this whole thing was to give the town the choice. And by voting omnibus, I think you're taking away some of that choice.
I agree. I just
putting
wanted to bring
leverage
it up.
on.
I
Yeah.
wanted to bring it up and get everybody's opinion, so we're kind of all on the same page about that.
I agree also, but I don't want to say that we're never going to group them together. It depends on in the future if we have more projects, it just may make sense. I agree that for now, I think we should do them separately.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay, who is that?
That was Marilyn. I agree too.
Okay.
I was thinking if we had a controversial one, we definitely would want it separate from the others anyways.
Well, you just never know. I mean, you can't assume that. I don't think we can assume none of these seem controversial, but you just never know. And I think we have to make sure that people have the ability to vote one down when they're in favor of all the rest.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, remember, we do have the option of separating it. It would entail, telling the moderator like what Lenny had to do last year. But I mean, we would have the option of being able to separate them out.
You mean amending on the floor?
Correct.
Well, no, why don't we just write the article in such a way that states we'll vote separately on them from the start.
Yeah, yes. No, I'm just saying that in the future, if we decide to group them together.
Gotcha.
This year it won't be an issue because we're all in agreement that they should be separate.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I like it this way where we've got the whole verbiage in the, in the beginning, and then it's like A, the gate.
Yeah.
B, the library restoration. And then the last one would be the $35,000.
So I'd be in favor of doing exactly that. To have the article start with the exact same verbiage as is up here, and then do a really brief, because we did handouts last year that gave the full description of each project, I believe, right?
Yeah, and that's our next item to discuss.
And we did the
Right, we
presentation,
should do that again.
which provided all that.
Yeah, I think
The
we just kind
handouts
of
the slides, actually.
revamp the ones from the handout from last year, kind of our report card of what we had for money.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, have the projects with a little bit of an explanation. And then if we had 10 minutes last year for 6 projects, we should have 5 minutes this year for 3. So a real quick.
Well, that's still a little bit more per project.
Yeah, true. Hopefully. I know everybody just wants town meeting to move along and, not sit there till midnight. So,
Yeah, I mean, I'd be in favor of just adding a little blurb to the end of this that says we will take a vote on each project individually. Here are the 3 projects.
okay.
And put them all under one article. That would be my preference.
Okay. Do you
All right.
think that,
Now, the second one, I'm just noticing it's talking about falling roof, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, but it doesn't say which falling roof.
They're going to get
Um,
more detail in a handout, though, right?
well, there was so much information in that presentation. I have asked for her slides and I have not received a response yet. So I could, because the application didn't go into tons and tons of detail, but it was the failing roof and the basement masonry and the interior.
But I mean, I think people want to know what building that is for.
Oh, I didn't say the library?
No, that's what I was trying to say in my
it.
John Margo way.
I am losing it.
What if
Sorry,
we,
guys?
There's also a little typo on the very first line. Instead of articles, the R is missing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'm enabling editing even as we speak. I think this must have been my rough draft. And I didn't get the right one out to you guys. Sorry about that.
Linnea, do you think we should pass these off to the project leaders and just get their blessing on them to make sure that they're...
Oh, yeah, yeah. I'll send them off to Kelly and Joe. And actually, Janet Morrison wrote the article for the Forest Legacy Grant.
Okay, because we're going to need
So-
them standing by for questions.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Last year, we were able to articulate everything pretty easily, and they were easy to get our heads around. But especially the Forest Grant Program, I think we need them.
Yeah, that I believe is going to be part of the budget and not a separate warrant article. Victoria's been keeping me kind of in the loop with that because that's all reimbursable. They don't have to put it on the warrant. So I know there's going to be a presentation at the next select board meeting. So there will be, I'll just make sure that somebody's going to be available to explain it.
Yeah.
Ask them to come. Do you think I should do the little chart again? The inserted chart?
I don't know. I think there's more numbers there than anybody's going to get their head around.
Yeah.
I think so. I think we just give the sum totals for each project.
Okay.
And make sure that people understand that we actually came in under, what happens to the money that's left over. We had this much to start. We're using this much. So this much is going to go back into the fund for next year.
Yeah, we're wiping out the historic fund and using 49,000 and change from the undesignated.
Yeah.
And then what's left over after the 35 comes out of, we can put that on the handout.
Yeah, I think we just keep it really, really simple.
Okay. Let me just grab the screen back from you.
Yeah.
You guys see my screen? Share screen. I
No,
am
not yet.
sharing screen 2.
I just see people.
What about this?
There it is.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so I spelled articles wrong again when I was doing that. Okay, I'm doing really well.
In the first article, the funding line, you have form instead of from.
You see, I didn't pass it through spell check, did I?
Well, I mean, it's a word, so
Yeah, I know.
it passes spell check. The fourth line, funding 3,500 form instead of from. Yeah.
Okay, and then
regarding the third article, the Forest Legacy Project. So it kind of reads as if the Concom owns the land. So it doesn't own the land. It will end up owning the land or holding the conservation restrictions when this is all done.
so how should that be worded?
So I would say instead of owned by the Conservation, to be owned by the Conservation Commission. And then the conservation restrictions won't be conveyed to the land trust, they'll be conveyed to the Concom.
Tom, do you want to, I don't know if we need to do the full edit here. Do you want to take it offline and take it to?
Sure, I can send comments to Lene offline.
Okay, thank you. I'd appreciate that. That's why we're a committee. Nobody can do it all by themselves. Terrific. Yes, any comments, please send them, and I will definitely run it through spell check and have it read aloud to me from Word when it does the review. Any other comments?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Stop the screen share.
Thank you for getting it going, as always, Linnea.
Oh, well, got to do something now that I'm a retired person and not doing well at being retired. So, okay, so do we want to take a vote on this, or yeah, I think we need to take a vote. Make a motion to have the articles voted separately.
All projects in one article, separate votes.
Okay, do you want to make that motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion to place all the projects in a single article on the town warrant, but with the stipulation that we will vote on them separately.
Okay, do we have a second?
I second it.
Thank you. And let's take a vote. Myself, yes. Wynn,
Yes.
Margot,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
and Marilyn.
Yes.
Wow, we're a very unanimous group. That's wonderful. Okay, so that passes. And then let's quickly discuss the presentation for town meeting. When you don't happen to have one of those hanging around on your computer screen, do you?
Sorry, what?
You don't happen to have one of those hanging around? Like left
One of
over?
them.
The presentation, the handout that we did in the presentation.
Give me a second. I can probably find it.
I mean, does anybody remember it from last year? So Wynn doesn't have to go searching at the moment.
Only insofar as that it happened.
Okay. Well, you were paying attention. At least we know it happened.
Well,
Okay, so we're.
I was attempting to pay at least somewhat attention.
Well, it gets a little difficult, doesn't it?
Yes.
Are you looking for the handout, Linnea?
Yeah, let's talk about that because the presentation's a bit longer.
All right, I think I have it here.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. How do I stop sharing? Stop share. That's how I do it. There we go. Okay, that's the whole presentation. So we might not have to do the how it works so much. Cut it down a little bit.
Maybe. I wouldn't cut it out entirely, though. Most people don't know how this works. Still.
Yeah, we could probably take a show of hands. How many people know what community preservation is?
I think we should keep it in since this is only the second year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to change the numbers that we see to maybe
Yes.
what we've already earned and spent, as well as
That
for next year?
was the report card.
Oh, okay.
The handout had that.
Yeah.
So we can just, update that. Say we had 6 projects. They're almost all done.
Mhm.
That kind of thing.
Okay.
Oh no, this isn't. This was the.
What is this?
How it works.
This was our presentation to get CPA passed.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that is, I think, too much to have at town meeting. It's wonderful and brilliant. It's just that it's a lot.
Yeah, let
Yeah.
me keep looking here.
I've got that OneDrive thing with, whatever it is. And I always get confused where my stuff gets saved. So now I'm looking at my list of stuff, and I think we were looking at my draft, which was in one place, and the other stuff was on the OneDrive. Sorry about that. Oh.
Maybe this is it. Okay. What do you want to look at? The handout or the
Yeah, let's look at the handout, because the presentation was a little longer and had photos, and we can just I want to borrow a couple of the photos from the library presentation to show the leaks and what's going to be fixed.
All right, hold on a sec.
And we can
Yeah,
have one.
I think that's good to have photos of, how
Now I
bad it
remember.
looks.
No, I remember. One sec.
There it is.
Yeah, this was nice and simple.
There we go.
And we could do first year, second year, and then yeah, and then show what we've spent and what we had left and what we're doing this year. Like the Bullfinch portico came in under budget, so that money goes back. It's already been sent back.
Yeah. So we could do a real quick recap of what's real quick because
And saying that money went back is going to make people very happy.
yeah,
Right, and it can't be used for anything else. So we've got to be very clear. It's those quality of life issues that this money is, definitely reserved for. It doesn't go
Right.
into paying the electric bill at the town hall or something.
So the first page could essentially stay the same, but we swap out numbers. And then, swap out numbers again, right?
Right.
Yeah, we can definitely just start with this and rework it.
Okay, is that good with the committee? Does anybody else have any suggestions to freshen it up or make it more jazzy or whatever? I'm not hearing anything.
I think keeping it simple is good.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Not
the
too
less
jazzy.
words.
Not too
Yeah.
jazzy.
Okay. Simple as all and as easy to understand as possible.
Right, and people can always ask questions.
Right, but last year it was like such a shock that everything passed. I was flabbergasted that we got such overwhelming support. I think we should probably thank the town for their overwhelming support last year
Yeah.
in our presentation.
That's a good way to open.
Yeah.
Yep.
For sure.
No, that's a good way.
Okay, so anybody else have anything to add? When will you work with me on the presentation and getting this done again?
Yeah, absolutely. We can just start by replacing the numbers and then if we want to add a little report card.
And if you need another set of eyes to edit or proofread, I'm happy to help out with that.
I think we'll send it to everybody. That's a really good idea because, as we can see, my draft went out, which was very incomplete. Thank you very much for that, Margot. It's very important. Very important indeed.
Just don't want to stand up at town meeting. No, not me.
My other self will have to do that because I start shaking. And I'm glad I'm behind something. Otherwise, it would be a pretty sorry sight. I'm getting better at it, but it's still not something I enjoy. Okay, we've got that covered. I don't think we need to vote on it. Do we have any new business we want to bring up?
So I just wanted to make one comment on what we just discussed. So I don't think that it's legal for us to distribute drafts to the entire committee. That's an open meeting law violation because
I think this is my interpretation. We just can't comment. It can be submitted BCC, but we can't as a whole board make comments to each other.
Well,
In, in the
what's
email, you
I
mean?
mean, so that's actually not true. So if any one of us writes anything in a document that contains our opinion, which includes anything that we would put in these warrant articles, that's both something that's within our jurisdiction, the CPA, and it's our opinion, where we're saying how we would like something to happen. We can't do that over email. That is an open meeting law violation. We can only
Even
do that
proofreading?
in pub.
I
proof
was just
meetings.
talking purely about proofreading, finding mistakes, not opinions, just if there's a spelling error or an incorrect figure.
The easiest way, the safest way to do that is for Linnea to send it to a sub-quorum and for that to not escape the sub-quorum. So Linnea could send it to individuals, or we can individually send our comments to Linnea and she can collate them and apply the changes. And then she can share that document with us at the next meeting. But that's the
Isn't that
only
what
Yeah.
BCC takes care of?
it.
I just want to make sure, just because that's how I was.
Yeah, we've been
told
operating
how to
under
do
that
it.
way for almost 3 years.
Yeah, that is, you don't send it to the whole committee, you BCC it so that it's physically impossible for someone to inadvertently reply to everyone.
The mechanics of BCC don't pass muster under open meeting law because Linnea sending the message via BCC, it still has reached a quorum of the committee. It still has reached a quorum. And that by itself is the violation.
So do we resolve it by receiving the document and then just coming together and talking about it in the next meeting?
Yes, so you are allowed to distribute reports.
Mm-hmm.
You're allowed to distribute, things that do not contain opinions, you're allowed to distribute. So if you're reporting something, just the facts. If you're producing a document that doesn't contain opinions, you can distribute that.
Like me sending you the stuff that I sent you beforehand so you could review it, that's okay?
I think that's iffy. The guidance from the Attorney General is that when you send documents like that they also get simultaneously posted on the website. I can dig up the open meeting law determinations that describe that process, but it's also cautioned that you don't do that. So in Concom, for example, since we haven't had an agent again for a while, a couple of us have done site visits. And so when we write our reports, we send them to Brian Keating, the planning director, but we don't share them with the rest of the commission until the open meeting, because we can't.
What about, like the select board has a packet? That's not published ahead of time.
The select board's packet actually is published on the website ahead of time.
It is? I've never seen it.
But it doesn't contain the select board members' opinions. It doesn't contain anything written by the select board members. It contains, the various applications from third parties, but also the town administrator's report and other staff reports.
Okay, so how would I get you this information if that's not the way to send it? How would I get you?
It's really unfortunate, but you have to share it with us at an open meeting, which you've done. We've seen these documents now at an open meeting. If you want to share them with us outside of an open meeting, they need to be shared with the public at the same time.
I really have to go, but I'm very interested in this just because.
Okay.
So what about me sending out minutes to everybody? Should I not do that? The draft minutes?
No, that you can do because that's just a report. That's not sharing your opinion. But
isn't this
just
a report to town meeting? I guess I'm confused about the semantics. That's all. I understand that no opinion. I'm just confused about the semantics. But unfortunately, I do have to go. This is a really interesting discussion. I wish we had started it a little earlier.
Maybe it is semantics. We voted on our opinions on the projects, and what we're deliberating, what we're trying to figure out is how to best document them for town meeting. So Are there opinions in there? That I don't know that there are opinions in there at this point, but there are opinions on how to best document it.
Well, see, therein lies the rub, right? How do you
Interpret it?
best, right? Best, that's an opinion. So I'm sorry to be so pedantic about it. You know, maybe I'm colored by my work on Concom. I have to be very careful on Concom. You know, it could get very expensive if we screw up on Concom.
And I understand that because, you know, I wrote the decisions and all that for, you know, the ZBA in Groton. And so I was constantly treading carefully. So I get that. That's why I want to understand where you're coming from, because this is a little bit different than what I've worked with. But again, I really have to go. So
Okay. Thank you for coming, Margot.
all right. And if anyone, you know, if there are any other votes, obviously I can't participate in, but if there's anything else I need to add to the minutes, if you guys can let me know, that would be great. Like when the next meeting is, et cetera, et cetera.
All righty. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
So,
Okay. We still have a quorum, so we can
I
continue.
mean, this stuff is boiled down enough, Linnea, so that we could just work to update the warrant, the proposed warrant articles, and update the handout, and then just present them at the next meeting. They don't take long.
Yeah, because
they don't, you know, it's not
that's
like
true.
we're trying to digest pages and pages of stuff.
Yeah, because we will have a meeting before the annual town meeting. This town meeting,
we need to submit the articles
right,
sooner
right,
rather than later, right? So we could schedule another meeting in 2 weeks and we can work together to.
Yeah, they have to be in on the 29th
of
March.
We basically voted to submit the articles tonight, haven't we? With a couple
we did.
typos corrected and.
Well, no, because we said that we were going to give the
Right.
sponsors a chance to review them, right? We said that there were going to be we were going to add a bit about voting on them separately, but within the same article.
Yeah, we didn't approve the actual verbiage because I needed to make some edits. But we approved the concept.
So can Linnea and I, or Linnea and one other person, work on a final draft and then present that at the next meeting if we have it?
Yes.
For the 29th?
Yep, a sub-quorum can collaborate on producing a document. So long as it's
we're a committee of 7, it could be up to 3.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right.
Okay. Then since they have to be done by the 29th, what's the pleasure of the committee? Do we want to meet again, or can the subcommittee just go ahead with it? Marianne Hewlett. Excuse me.
I feel like we have to meet again to approve them. Or it's not really, we're just proposing them, right? That it's who's
by the time when we're done with them, it will go to the town administrator. The select board has to review it and approve it.
okay.
So we're
So
not
they have
the last
license to
word.
change whatever they want on their own too.
Pretty much, yeah. You know, they like to go with what people do. We're in a unique position because we have a lot of latitude on what we can propose. The selectmen can't take it off the warrant.
Right.
So
Well, why don't we just schedule another quick meeting? It shouldn't take more than 15 minutes, I would guess. If we
that works for me.
I'm happy to work with you, Linnea, to on a final draft, unless someone else would like to, and then we can just present that at a short meeting and vote on them.
Okay. Do you want to do the
presentation? We have all sorts of time to work on.
Yeah, we've got a whole month to do that. And so can we meet on the 28th real quick at 6:00?
Yeah, works for me.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm free.
Yeah.
Is that
Okay.
time enough to give it to the clerk on, or the town administrator on Friday morning?
Yeah,
Oh,
till
yeah,
noon.
short hours.
Till noon.
As long as you just email it, or, okay.
Yeah. Or do you want to do it on I don't know what the other
No.
meeting schedules are.
No, I'm fine.
We could do it the 26th or the 27th. I mean, it's what
No, I'm
people
fine,
are.
as long as it'll meet the deadline, it's fine by me.
I think it will be a maybe 10-minute meeting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Any of
So
those days are fine with me.
why don't we give ourselves a little cushion and do the 27th at 6:00, barring computer failures or whatever. I just don't like to have things down to the final wire. So, okay, that will be basically if we have the minutes ready to approve and the warrant articles ready to go for approval by the whole committee to submit. Sounds good?
Yeah.
March 27th at 6:00. Okay, and that pretty much takes care of our agenda. We set the meeting. Any new business? We already said that, and there was none, except for Tom's information on open meeting law, which is we will discuss more and find out more about. Thanks, Tom. Okay, so we have our meeting set for the and date. So we just need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
I second it.
Okay, roll call vote. Myself, yes. When
Yes.
Margot's not here, Tom
Yep.
and Marilyn.
Yes.
We are adjourned.